Hello there, welcome or welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Samantha and this is my channel where I talk all about books. Anyway, today I'm coming to you with a video which is exciting, but also it's terrifying that we're at this point of the year already. But in today's video, I'm going to be doing the end of the year book tag. This tag was originally created by Ariel from Ariel Bissett, and I'll link her channel down below for you to go check out if you haven't already. But yeah, this is a really fun tag. I really like doing this every year. It's kind of like the mid-year book freakout tag, but it's got way less questions, and it's for the end of the year, obviously. But typically I like to do this a couple months before the end of the year so I actually have time to complete some of the books that we'll talk about in this video. But yeah, we're just going to check in with how the reading is going and the plans for the rest of the year. Anyway, it's a pretty short tag, so let's just get into it, shall we? So the first question is, are there any books you started this year that you still need to finish? And I actually have a few, two of which I am hoping to finish before the end of the year, one of which I am going to come back to at some point, but just not yet. So one of the ones that I'm planning to come back to is Wondersmith by Jessica Townsend. This is the second book in the Nevermore series, and I basically started the audiobook and then I just wasn't in an audiobook mood, so I put it down, but I'm definitely gonna come back to that because I do want to read that. It's just the audiobook is the only way I can read it at the moment unless I buy it, which I don't want to do. So yeah, I will be coming back to that probably very soon. Similarly, the other book that I want to finish before the end of the year is The Atlas Six. I did the same thing. I started this on audio and then I was like, I'm not in an audiobook mood, but I've recently taken up the cozy hobby of cross stitch and I really love doing it, and it's very addictive, and I also like completely turn my mind off while I'm doing it, so that's the perfect time to listen to audiobooks. So yeah, now that I've developed this new obsession, I need lots of audiobooks, so I'll definitely be coming back to this one as well, especially because I need it for a secret reading vlog that I'm working on. Stay tuned for that. And then the one book that I started and I will come back to at some point, but just not at the moment, is The Will of the Many by James Islington. I started reading this over the summer, I want to say, and I think I read like 100 pages and then I just wasn't in the mood for it at that time, but I definitely want to come back to it, and I could see how it was about to like get really interesting. I literally like just got through the kind of slightly boring like world building stuff and I was about to get to like the good stuff, but I just wasn't in the mood. Yeah, I'll have to get it out from the library again at some point so I can read it. I will go back to that, just not this year. So I guess that doesn't really apply to that question, but I did start it this year and I will finish it at some point, just not now. The next question is, do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? I feel like when I've done this before, I've given you pretty much all of my autumnal recommendations that I could possibly give. So yeah, I normally like give some recommendations or just let you know what I'm reading for this transitional period, but I don't really have anything at the moment that I feel like is a transitional book. Really, I'm just reading a lot of like fantasy and romantasy, and I feel like I read a lot more romance earlier in the year, and now I feel like I'm fully like invested in just reading fantasy, romantasy all the time. Like that's all I want. Maybe a romance every now and then, but I just want fantasy, romantasy. I want to be immersed in very atmospheric reads at the moment. I guess that's my answer, but not a particular book. I'm just reading fantasy, romantasy, good old times. The next question is there a new release you are still waiting for? And I would say not really. Like I have a few arcs that haven't come out yet, which I am going to be reading and I'm very excited to get to. And I've got one that I already read, but it hasn't actually come out yet, but I would highly recommend that. So I'll just go over those. So the one that I've read, but it comes out on November 5th, is Lost and Lassoed by Lila Sage. This is the third book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series, and this is a cowboy romance series, which I love. She was my introduction to cowboy romance this year. I read Done and Dusted in January and then immediately requested the sequel on NetGalley, and I got it and loved it. And then this book is definitely the best one in the series for me, and I would highly recommend. So yeah, November 5th, that book's coming out, although I'm not waiting for it, although I think I will buy it because I love the cover as well. So cute, and I just loved this one. I probably will buy that, so I guess I am still waiting for it. And then the next one I have is also coming out on November 5th, and that is The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Long. I have an arc of this as well, and I'm actually currently reading it at the moment, and I'm really enjoying it. It's a very nice cozy fantasy with found family and a sprinkle of magic, and it's just like very nice and warm and cozy. So yeah, it's definitely a good autumn read and I'm really enjoying it. But again, I'm not really like waiting for it because I'm already reading it. And then the last one I've got is another arc, but this one's coming out in mid-November, and that is The Courting of Bristol Keats by Mary E. Pearson. And this is her first adult release, I believe, and it's like a fantasy with a sprinkle of romance, I think. And I want want to say there's like a deal with either the devil or like nefarious fae, and I'm just really excited to read it. I think it's gonna be a good time. As I said, I've got the arc of that, so I will be reading that very soon. I guess those are the new releases that I'm still waiting for. The next question is, what are 3 books that you need to read before the end of the year? Every year I find it so hard to narrow it down to just 3 books because I want to read everything, obviously. I've got some videos that I'm working on, which maybe I could have chosen specifically books from those videos for this, but it's fine. Anyway, the first one I've got is one that I've been meaning to read for years, and I got it earlier this year from the library. We were getting rid of it, so I took it home with me, and I thought this would be a perfect November read, so I'm really hoping to read this in November, and that is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I don't really know much about this apart from the fact that I do believe it is an atmospheric fantasy book following our main character Laszlo Strange. He's basically obsessed with this lost city of Weep, and he gets the opportunity to go and find the lost city of Weep, and I imagine it's gonna be beautiful and lyrical like all of Laini Taylor's books that I've read. So I'm very excited to get to this one, hopefully in November. The next one I've got, I have also been meaning to read for years, and I told myself I would read this as soon as I finished rereading a different series that is connected to this book, and I did finish rereading that series in July, I think, and I haven't picked it up yet. And also I do need it for a secret video that I'm working on. So that is Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. I definitely need to read this before the end of the year. It is ridiculous. I've been meaning to read this since 2020 and it's 2024. The whole series is completed now and I still haven't even read the first one. So it's kind of ridiculous. So yeah, I definitely need to read this. And as I said, it is for a secret TBR video that I'm going to be working on. So yeah, I should definitely read this. This was an accident. I didn't actually think about this when I put this on this list because I literally did it like 2 minutes before filming, but it's by the same author. Oops. But that is Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. I didn't mean to put 2 Cassandra Clare books on this list. However, this is her first adult release and I've enjoyed pretty much all of the Cassandra Clare books that I've read. And this is the first book in a new series from her. And I've been putting off reading it because I didn't know when the next book was coming out. And then I found out that it's coming out in like, I think March next year. So it's really not that long. And I was given this for Christmas last year. And I really hate it when I get a book for Christmas and then I don't read it in the next year. That's become a new goal of mine. Every time that I get a book for Christmas, I try to read it before that year is up. This is one of the 2 books that I got it for my birthday, but it's 2 days before Christmas. So it's basically Christmas. If anyone says that, I will be mad, but I'm allowed to say it. I need to get to this because I've set myself that little goal of trying to read the books before the end of the year. So I'm going to try and read this one maybe in December. We'll see. The next question is there a book you think could still shock you and become your favorite book of the year? Every year, pretty much, I think I say no, and I'm gonna stick with that because honestly, my top 2 books of the year, well, especially my number 1, like, I don't think anything is moved from that. That is gonna stay in its place. I was actually talking to my friend about this book last night because she just finished it, and I was just like fangirling about the book all over again because I just love it so much. And I read it in February and I still think about it all the time. I just love it so much. So I don't think anything is going to top that. And then my number 2, I also don't think anything is going to top that. However, a book that I think could come into the number 3 spot is Throne of the Fallen by Carrie Maniscalco. I feel like I'm maybe hyping this book up too much in my mind, but I feel like I'm really going to like it because it's enemies to lovers, and I don't know. I feel like I've really been on an enemies to lovers kick at the moment, and I've heard really good things, and I think I'm going to like it, but I feel like I'm getting my hopes up way too much for this, so I need to like lower my expectations, but they're sky high, so I don't think they're coming down. But anyway, that could get to the number 3 spot. And the last question is, have you already started making reading plans for the next year? And I sort of have. I've got an idea for a video series, which is to do with my TBR, and I feel like a lot of people have done that recently, so like, you know what it is already. I'm gonna try and tackle my TBR next year. So yeah, I want to start a series where I try to get my physical TBR down to hopefully 0, but I don't know if that's gonna happen. Yeah, that's sort of like a video series plan that I've got, which involves my physical TBR. So like I'm planning to read those books. So I've got those reading plans. Do I have any other ones? Not really, apart from I want to do some more rereads because I feel like I've been wanting to do more rereads this year and I haven't because I always feel so guilty when I reread because I know I have unread TBR books and I'm like, oh, I'm not allowed to reread, but like, of course I am. I'm supposed to enjoy reading. And if I'm reading books that I'm not enjoying from the TBR, why can't I go back and reread something? So yeah, definitely see more rereads in my future for next year. I really want to reread The Hunger Games before Sunrise on the Reaping comes out. I really want to reread the A Darker Shade of Magic series because I still haven't read The Fragile Threads of Power, which came out last year, but I want to reread the other books first. And then I actually think that might be it in terms of rereads, but I feel like I've been putting those off and I really want to reread them. So like, I just need to do it. Yeah, anyway, those are all the questions for the end of the year year book tag. Please let me know what books you need to read before the end of the year. I would love to know. And if you want to answer any of the other questions down below, go ahead. I would love to have a little chat with you down below. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, leave me the calendar emoji because, as I've said before, the calendar pages are flying. So yeah, leave me the calendar emoji down below. But that is all that I have for this video. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked it. If you did, please hit a thumbs up. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe down below, and I will see you very soon with another video. Bye.